8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh, we are live, guys. How are you, Jaden?
Doing good, Adam. How about you?
Yeah, good. Well, welcome to the Ashmont Realty Podcast. There it is, right there. And I'm really excited about this one because we kind of changed it up. We got a very special guest, Travis Detnam. He's in the house. I'm going to bring him in here shortly with Jaden and I today. And we're going to do something called Strange and Odd Ways That I Got a Client. Realtor Stories. It's going to be spooky. And the guy we're bringing on today is spooky. And that's no other than Travis Detnam, Realtor Ashmont Realty. And the reason why we're having Travis on, because he has some of the weirdest, funny stories of how he got a client. I think as new agents, we get so hung up on like internet leads and millions of dollars of marketing and social media. Now we're heavy on social, that's where this podcast is going to be ending up. But 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have this kind of stuff. And but somehow we made it. We still sold homes, made clients and things like that. So I just want to talk about, I think as realtors, we really overcomplicate how we get clients. So what do you think about that, Jade?
Yeah. I think people, they just kind of overanalyze things sometimes when they're trying to think about how they're going to get leads and what they should do. And they're thinking about, if they should do paid sources or, what's all their options. And like you said, with social media now, there's just so many more options to get in front of these leads and talk to people. But I know we're going to kind of talk today about how to kind of do that in person and what that looks like and the weird ways you can run into people and start these conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not as hard as you think. We do overcomplicate it. And Jaden, you got some stats in front of you. Why don't we go over the statistics of how people really find clients? And you'd think it'd be like, oh, online leads or all this social media presence, but what are the stats that you pulled up?
So from the National Association of Realtors, it says that there's 36% of sellers that they get their agent from a referral from family or friends. So they're working with an agent and it's coming directly from family or friends, that the agents that they know. And then as far as there's 27% of people that use agents that they've already used before. So you can tell that people want to go with someone that they know, like, and trust. And if they don't specifically know, like, and trust you, they're going to go with someone they do know and kind of go off their opinion and take you that way.
Yeah. And that's 2/3. Then the other might be online leads, realtor.com leads, Zillow, landing pages or something like that. So, but speaking about being comfortable with someone and knowing something, I think this person we are having on right now, Travis Detnam, I think that's his superpower, is that he's just himself. And, I tease him about his beard, and actually his beard looks really good right now. But sometimes, Travis is more unorthodox, and I'm picking on you. We go way back, obviously. We're close, but Travis doesn't walk around in a suit and tie. He's just himself, but he's really confident and he knows what he's talking about. And that's a thing I always tell new agents, is that we always want to win the Super Bowl, but we don't even want to practice for the first game. You're not going to be successful even if you were in a situation where someone walked up to you and they wanted to buy a house. If you aren't confident, know what you're doing, you're going to sabotage yourself. So first things first, practice. And I saw something on a podcast this week. I can't remember who it was. They said something that drives me crazy is that LeBron James practices 90% of the time. 10% of his time is in actual physical, in actual games, but 90% of his time is spent practicing. And realtors are the opposite. 90% of the time they want to close a house, and they practice 10% of the time. It's kind of flip-flopped, and it's no different. You practice, be knowledgeable, and if you do that, you'll be confident and you become a Travis Debnam. So Travis, thank you for coming on the Ashmont Realty podcast. So let's talk about some weird and crazy stories that you just met somebody on the fly. You're in flip flops and shorts, and not no dog and pony show, right? Just and then you actually picked up a client.
Let's just take off from the dog point.
Dog park? All
Dog
right.
point in flip flops and shorts. I think
Okay.
probably,
So how does that work? You're at a dog park. How do you get a client? How does that?
Not necessarily a dog park. I do things a little differently. I go to one or two locations pretty consistently that I can walk the dog, sometimes off leash. I know that's not right, but you start to meet the same people if you're there same day, every day, and same time every day. And let's see, the first strange lead I think I ever picked up was walking my dog at Hoover Reservoir here in Central Ohio, and we just started up a conversation with a lady, and I got to know her.
Like, how do you? I'm going to stop you. Like, what do you mean? You were just walking your dog, and there was a lady standing there, and you're like, "Hey, how's the morning going?"
I mean, we had seen each other a couple of times, and enjoyed each other's conversation, and just in general conversation, it comes out as to what the other person does. So, like, found out that she's a CPA. So, and that great. And then she was like, "Oh, what do you do?" She's like, I'm a realtor." She's like, with her, she was like, "Oh, well, I'm thinking about moving in the next year or so," and didn't think much of it. And then, as I continually saw her, it happened one day. Her boyfriend at the time bought a house in Apple Valley, and she needed to sell her house. She called me up and said, "Hey," we had just formed a relationship, and that was just all it was just me being at the same place, same time, just consistently. So that would be like,
first time you met that person, you didn't ask for any like contact info or anything. It was just you ran into her a couple more times doing your normal thing, and that's it.
And I have one in the wings right now because I still consistently walk my dog, and people know me now there. I mean, there's a crew that always walks together. So
you're the crazy dog dad? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Crazy cat lady, but you're the crazy dog guy.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how that one works out. And then, so I think the next crazy client pickup, I guess, strange ways I've picked up a client would be about a year and a half ago. This was around COVID time. I was building a retaining wall out in front of my house, and I needed some rocks. And I was at a place called Mr. Mulch picking up some rocks for the retaining wall, and hop out of my car and strike up a conversation with a guy. And I was like, "I've never been here." I'm dressed in flip-flops and shorts still. And
totally not professional, right?
Yeah. And his face lights up. He's like, "I've never been here either." And I'm like, "Okay." So he's like, "You go talk to that guy." And we start walking and talking. And he's like carrying me along, just showing me where to go, being super friendly. And it comes out that he's, I ask him what he does. He asked me what I do. It turns out he's the head of the Hare Krishnas in Central Ohio, oddly enough. And they were looking at a piece of property that they wanted to purchase for a cow sanctuary. So that one's like super crazy. But I was really skeptical at first of this person.
Well, you just met him at a Mr.
I just met him. So I got his contact information, wrote down the addresses that he was like curious about. And I mean, it was big tracts of land in a fairly pricey area of town, Hilliard. So I go back home and I look up these addresses, and lo and behold, yes, somebody had just passed away, and it was at an estate sale, and this piece of property was actually available. So I call him up and I say, "Hey, when can we meet?" He said, "Come on down to the temple on Friday." And I'm thinking to myself, okay. So anyways, I did that and everything was fine. And I picked up basically a client from picking up rocks. And that was probably one of the weirdest.
Let's role play though. Let's role play. So you're at the Mr. Mulch,
Yeah.
and you get out of your car and your flip flops and your cargo shorts or what
Yeah, whatever.
And
dog was in the car too.
Dog's in the car, and you're like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" Because let me preface it. Travis is super social, like within us three. But if you put him in front of like 10
5
or more,
yeah, whatever.
So
I'm a wallflower.
But I mean, it's not like Travis is some like boisterous. You know how there's our people are just like, hey, the party of the, I don't know, what do you call it? The
life of the party.
Life of the party. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But you're not like that, So anyone, and I would call him an introvert. I think you are, Travis.
Yeah.
But like,
Social
I guess the
introvert.
premise is you can be very successful in this business being an introvert. You just have to you said it earlier, not on the podcast yet, but you said just be yourself.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. Just be yourself.
Yeah. And I think actually introverts might have a superpower because they do better at small groups. And that's what you deal with as being a realtor is like you're showing houses or you're interacting with people on a one-to-one basis more often than not. Yeah. So it's not, I mean, extroverts can have great success at marketing. I mean, you're an extrovert, Adam. I mean, I think so. And you're really good at marketing. And I'm not, but I'm really good at the one-on-one soft skills.
Yeah. So I know I got off topic there, but so you get out, Mr. Mulch, you see this gentleman standing there and you say, hey, boy, this is a nice place. You ever been here? You're small, just talking, just being yourself.
Yeah.
Like I'm at the fishing dock and just talking about the fish. How do you go from, so is the key, because I think that's what a lot of people are like, well, Travis, how did you find out you're a realtor? Was it, so what do you do? What do you ask them first what they do? Is that kind of the
I guess it depends on the situation and the person. Sorry to interrupt. It depends on the situation and the person. Sometimes it's you slow walk the situation. I mean, not intentionally. It's never intentional that you want to like just blurt out, "Hey, I'm a realtor."
Yeah,
I wasn't like seeking to pick up a client from this guy. I was just making small talk, and I just, I saw that he was holding like prayer beads, and
okay,
and, he was just you could tell he was just a happy person. So I just had felt fine talking to him and like figuring out like I found out that he was also a doctor. And then later it came out that he was the head of the Hare Krishnas. And that was just sort of like an aside. And it was
How did he find out you were a realtor? That's what I'm trying to get to. How did he know? How did he know that? Did you have a shirt on?
No, didn't have a shirt on. Okay. Well, I mean, I had a shirt on, but it was a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I was talking about rocks. I mean, my degree is actually in geology, as you know. So we started talking about that, and then he told me about what his sort of background was in the medical field, and we sort of related on science. And then I was like, well, and then 7 years ago, I decided to take a change and follow in my parents' footsteps and become a realtor. And then that's when his face lit up and he was like, oh, well, I'm actually been looking for a realtor lately.
Yeah.
So it was it was really organic, honestly. It was just complete small talk. I didn't have any intention of leading in that I was a realtor.
Yeah. It happened. Well, I think the thing is like what you did was, and I think you're trying to convey in a roundabout way, was like you're just being yourself, you're small talking, you were asking him some general questions about him, because we all love to talk about ourselves, usually. Not everyone, there's some weird people out there, but if you say, oh, what do you do? There's always like some like a soft spot for people that they have an interest and you like try to figure it out. But But so you were kind of asking him questions and he was reciprocating.
Yeah,
to you.
and
That where you weren't.
you find things that you can relate to
Mhm.
also, because
Yeah.
science background, and
Mhm.
we just kind of connected over that. And then I went further and explained what I do now.
And this happened all over in a 10-minute time frame.
Yep. 10-minute time frame. He had a couple of his parishioners there. He brought me over, like introduced me to them.
Okay.
So, it was just completely organic. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What about you had another one about the pool or something, right?
These are
Swimming
fairly
pool.
recently. So,
Okay.
within
it's
the past
fresh in your mind.
year, I've been really consistently going to the pool at the same time, just about daily. But before this
And
past
these
year,
are an outdoor pool in
no,
Columbus.
this is indoor. No.
Okay.
No, but before this, I would have spurts where I would go to the pool for a month or two and then stop. So I would
Mhm.
see some of the same people all the time. And if you go to the community center, typically it's all people of a certain age and everybody has had a pretty long history with each other. So I've just gotten to know everybody that goes to that pool at the same time every day.
Okay.
And,
Got it. Okay. So you're a regular.
I'm a regular, and
Okay.
that's been just this past week. I've picked up, past 2 weeks, I've picked up 2 clients simply by going to the pool. Now, the first one I picked up, I had seen him there once or twice before. He was a little bit younger than me, and I just noticed that he had a good stroke, but I could tell he was not a swimmer from like formal training. He was real forthcoming on the fact that he'd had 5 knee surgeries, that he taught himself how to swim. And I was just giving him compliments like, your stroke's really good. You can do this, that, and the other. And then we just realized that we liked each other, and we started talking, finding out what each other did. And, just exchanged numbers. And he said, well, in the next year, I'm going to be looking for a house and you're going to be the guy. That's just how it happened. and now I meet up with him 2 or 3 times a week just because I like him a lot. And we're actually forming different business relationships now because he sells accounting software for larger companies. So I'm like hooking him up with business owners now that potentially need either disability insurance, which is what he does, and software. So we're sort of helping each other in a reciprocal relationship, but we also like each other. So it's really crazy.
Well, how did you go from like on that situation? I know you're a regular, so
Yeah.
that's good, right? But how did you go from, because there's probably a lot of people that go to that gym or that pool, but
Mhm.
you don't know what they do. Like, how did you go from you're swimming in a swimming pool to like telling him what you do?
Well, with that, we just
Like,
started
how did he
talking.
find out you're a realtor? How did
I
he
mean,
know?
like I said, we just started talking. I think that time it was just me saying, hey, you got just critiquing his stroke for him and like telling him things that he could do in the water, and then just joking about life.
Okay. Just
um,
busting each other's chops. Is
yeah,
that what we call it?
yeah, we
Okay,
were
just going,
not like picking at each other.
yeah, but just
It
kind of
wasn't anything
talking,
like
small
that.
talking. Okay.
Yeah, just small talking. And, I had found that he had made some life changes recently, and I exchanged that I, like, past year had made some life changes too. So we related on that topic, and then we just pretty much became pretty good friends like that. It was
Did you tell
pretty
him you
funny.
were a real estate agent the first time you talked to him?
I mean, the first time I talked to him, it was just like, hey, how's it going? And then probably the second time I talked to him, he found out that I was a realtor. And it would probably be the third time that he initiated the fact that he was looking at houses. So it was more of like, okay, he's seen me a couple of times. I've been really nice. He likes me. I like him. Sort of dating thing, but ooh.
Now, Travis is married, everybody, so
Yeah.
we'll have to clarify that.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that's just how that one worked. That was a one-off. I'm swimming with him today. I'm taking Heather Man to go to lunch with him tomorrow. I mean,
Okay.
I'm just introducing him to people. We're networking together. He's a salesman too. So, I mean, we have a lot in common. And that's just how that one worked. And then I guess the other pool one I picked up this week was I've seen this guy for 13 years at the pool. He's really active and involved at the community center. And I've gotten to understand that he like hosts the swim meets there. I mean, they've run articles on him in the local magazine. So he knows everybody.
Mhm.
And somehow, I mean, it was months ago that we started talking about real estate, and he found out that I was a realtor, and I don't specifically recall how the conversation went.
Like he
Um,
approached you, or he's
we
like,
were
"Hey, what's your name?"
just doing the small talk thing again. I mean, we were like in the locker room. Maybe somebody else was like poking fun at me, talking about real estate. Who knows?
Oh, everyone loves
I
talking.
honestly think that may have been how it went down, is that
Okay.
somebody else was talking to me about real estate, and then he
Mhm.
caught wind, and he said, "Oh, we're looking to downsize in the next year or so." And I didn't really think much of it because people say stuff like that all the time.
Mhm.
And I might be looking for a house, and that lead might fizzle out or whatever. And time goes by. I see him every once in a while. We say hey. I mean, usually it's just in passing because like he's either getting out of the pool, or I'm getting into the pool. And this past Saturday, I was at the pool again. And I saw him, and he said, "Hey, I'll text you later. We're thinking about downsizing." And I was like, "Oh, great, great!" And so thinking downsizing, I went ahead and scrubbed the MLS in Westerville to see what was out there. Thinking, okay,
Mhm.
they're probably going to be looking for like a condo, low maintenance type situation. So I was proactive and just sent them a property and saying, "Hey, this one doesn't have much of yards, low maintenance, blah blah blah." It's like, "Thanks. I think we're looking for a little bit something different. Do you want to sit down and do lunch and talk about the plan?" And I'm like, "Yeah, great. Let's do Monday at noon." And
Mhm.
we sat down Monday, and I had already done my research to find out where he lived, approximately how much his house was priced, and I came prepared to that lunch and just ready to talk about what their next steps were.
I think that's the key thing. You said I was prepared, and you're
Yeah.
confident. Like he said, "Yeah, I think we're gonna downsize." So you proactively said, "I'm gonna scrub a list. I'm gonna send it to you." You got it started. Like
Yeah.
strike when the iron's hot,
Yep.
guys. And
Yep.
if Travis didn't know what he's doing, say he's a new agent, or maybe just not a trained agent, he hadn't been practicing, scrubbing lists, you would just sabotage it. You would probably be like, "Oh yeah, I can help you," and then it just didn't go anywhere because you didn't take ownership of it. So,
Mhm.
I want to before we get off here, I want you to tell us about the barbecue, the uncle buying the house, how fast things can happen, and
Well, actually, I wasn't actually at the barbecue. It
that's even
he
better. You weren't even there. You got these leads.
he
Okay.
was somewhere, and his wife had just seen a house pop up at Apple Valley, and uh, they were talked about it, had put an inquiry in to see the house, where they were inundated with hundreds of calls from other agents up there trying to show him this house. And he said, "I'm not going to use the derogatory terms." He's like, "I don't need another realtor." And he called me instantly, and we went and saw it the next day, made a cash offer on it. It was in 2 weeks later, I got paid.
Yeah, and it was
Didn't
like
even have to do
400
it.
out. Yeah, it was just so
495, something crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was like, "What?" Like, it
yeah,
happens so fast.
so
And
fast.
that can make I mean, you're talking a $400,000 house, 3% commission, 10, 12 grand. Yeah, that
Mhm.
changes your whole summer. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean? That
it was
quick
great.
because, you're at a barbecue and someone brings it up and
Yeah.
you're ready for it. You're ready like a fireman. So, um, but, I don't know. Jaden, you have any questions for Travis as
No,
more of a new
I think we
agent?
covered a good chunk of it. Kind of going over that process of what it looks like to talk to someone, a stranger, essentially,
Yeah.
and how that all plays out. That's kind of nice to hear, especially for me being a new agent.
Mhm.
I like to think myself maybe not so much an extrovert, but not quite an introvert. So I feel
Yeah,
like
I
I'm
think
pretty
you're
comfortable
extroverted.
talking
Yeah.
to talking to people. But I think overall, it's kind of about consistency, right? When you're getting out in the public and even just doing your day-to-day things, if you like a coffee shop or whatever, like just trying to be consistent at those places, and you just never know who you're going to run into.
Well, I mean, consistency is definitely key, but also being a master of small talk and being personable to people. I mean, some of the wild ones are just from being personable and just making a connection with somebody. I mean, you know when you're talking to somebody, like, okay, they like me, I like them, and
Right.
it's like almost electric at first. So,
Yes, yes. Just got to be willing to make those connections.
yeah,
Yeah, it's always better to work with people who you like. That's the best when you have a buyer and you really like them because
yeah,
it is not it's not work, it's fun. I
and then
mean,
there'll
get
be
in
a
the car
referral,
and show them houses and
and they'll
such
refer
a
you.
what's that?
And they'll refer you to other people. And
Yeah, we could talk for another 3
oh
hours on
god,
referrals for sure, and that's a big thing. Yeah, I mean 27% of a third of people who used a realtor was someone who was referred. Never met him before, but just said, "Hey, they're good."
yeah,
And that could come into as just a direct referral or maybe even a Google review. That's kind of referral. There are
that's
people,
most of my
other
business
people.
right now.
Yeah.
Most of my
So
business is referral.
one thing I think I would, an advice I would give any newer agent, is if you're more introverted, like Travis, especially if you're not confident. Now, as you progress in your career and you learn, you'll become more confident. But one thing, I mean, I do, and I don't have a problem talking. Clearly, I hijacked the podcast, right? But, but like, I wear real estate stuff all the time. And I see agents that'll wear like a little badge or they'll wear a shirt that says, "I'm a realtor, ask me." Because I can tell you, I never go anywhere. Soccer, golf for the kids. Anytime family get togethers that someone doesn't say, "Oh, how's real estate going? How's everything? How's the market?" Everyone wants to talk about real estate, which is great. I love it, right? So that's why we always train our agents. You better know numbers. You better know what's going on in the market because when they ask you, because they are going to ask you, you got to be ready. And that way you come off confident and you are confident. But if you need that little boost without any liquid courage, because maybe you don't have a drink on hand that gets you out of your box, or you're not as confident as Travis is maybe wear your company gear, or wear a hat. I wear a hat that has real. So people are like, "Oh, are you in real estate? Because you got that hat on." And it's like, "Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, what do you do?" And then it'll come up. "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we're thinking about, or we did that," and then you'd be surprised. Now the key is, like Travis mentioned, is like some people will say, "Yeah, I think we're going to be downsizing in the future." Now the hard part is making sure you keep up with them. Now,
Mhm.
Travis is good because he's consistent with a lot of stuff. But some of these people, including family, you might only see once a year,
Yeah.
so you want to make sure you keep them in your CRM or something. So very good. So I don't know. Anything else, Jaden, before we let Travis go and cut this podcast off for
I
this
don't think
week?
so.
All right. Well,
Well,
thanks for
Travis,
having me, guys.
yeah, thank you so much for joining. It was great to have a good-looking bearded face other than mine on here. Well, I don't know. Mine's good-looking. But
Remember, I'm married now.
I know. Well, thanks for joining again, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple, and all the podcast platforms. And check us out on YouTube as well. So, Jaden, have a good week. I'll talk to you soon. And if you guys want to get into real estate, you want to be like Jaden and I and Travis and sell houses, DM us, send us a message. Check us out on social media at Ashmont on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. We'd be happy to get you going on it. So, any last words, Jaden?
No, I think we're good.
All right. We're out of here, guys. Have a great week. Bye-bye.